Today we're going to be talking about perennials and roses. And we have Ray DeFeo, who is our sales manager, who will be discussing perennials. And then later, Evan Brand, who's let's see, what is Evan? Our production manager. He'll be
Yep.
talking about roses and be able to fill in those questions that Ray doesn't can't quite answer for you. So as you're coming in, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, we use the chat feature. And so just type in your questions. We have a lot of people, staff from Pride's Corner on reading those and ready to answer any questions you may have as they're coming up. So it looks like we're about ready to get started.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Welcome again, everybody. Yes, this is our third and final webinar of the season. The other two on native plants and trees and shrubs have been recorded. So if you did miss those or have someone that wants to see them, you can access them on our website or on our YouTube channel. And if you have other ideas of things you'd like us to cover, please let us know or let your sales rep know, and we gladly try to add in some more webinars for you. I do want to thank Katie LaRose from our perennial team. She is monitoring that chat feature that Allison said. So if you have questions, please ask them. Katie also heads up our perennial trialing. So she's the first one with hands-on knowledge of a lot of these plants. So she's a great one to have in the background there. So let's get started on new perennials, and then we'll get into roses later on. So we're going to start with alliums. Alliums, are a great addition to any garden. They come in lots of sizes, both in size plants and size flower heads. The new one, bobblehead here, has nice large blossoms, about 3 inches. So they make a nice little statement in your garden. And alliums are also a great pollinator attractor. Bees love them. Another fun fact, especially if you have kids around the house, if you dry the allium blooms, you can spray paint them and use them in all kinds of little projects around the house. So it's a fun little way to bring the garden in for more. But as you see, these alliums are nice, strong stemmed, and great for any garden. We have a second new allium. It's Cobalt Millennium. Many of you are familiar with Millennium. This is basically the same plant, but different. It's got more blue foliage, so the foliage even adds some interest to you in this brighter cobalt color, pinks and purple blend add to your palette for your gardens. Millennium has become a real strong plant for us, very popular. And alliums are great for single plants in the garden, also for mass plantings. And they again create a great haven for pollinators. Campanulas. I think it's a slightly underused plant. Great perennial, real hardy. And the new series here, the Pristar series that's come out, it's a great one because it's a little bit bigger than the Rapido series that's out there now. The blue here is a little darker, so it gives you a nice blend in there. And the white is a nice bright white. These are heavy bloomers too, and they bloom for long times. Great plants for long walkways, around the edge of patios, fillers for areas that you need in your perennial bed or in the shrub bed. Clematis. As many of you know, we have a strong relationship with the Raymond Evison Company. Been doing a lot of breeding work with clematis, making them better for the gardens. Little fact with clematis, remember, hot head, cold feet to have a better clematis. Keep the roots shaded a little bit, but give them full sun to get better flowering. This new variety from Raymond Evison is a very small one. so it'll fit better in some perennial beds. You can use it to climb small posts. It's small enough even to use in a hanging basket. Have a new use for clematis. Give a little variety for porch, patio, wherever you'd like to see this summer bloom. Good sized flowers also with a nice deep color. Coreopsis, a great native plant. We've been having more trouble here in the Northeast, not just the West Coast, of drought. We've got long stretches of dry periods in the summer. Coreopsis is a very strong plant for this. Handles the heat and drought very well. Again, another great plant for either singly in the garden or mass plantings. If you have a sloping area or a well-drained area that's tough to maintain, here's a great plant to let it mass in and cover. Long bloom time, nice bright colors, and again, being a native plant, works with a lot of our native pollinators to create a great series. Delosperma, nice little succulent type ground cover, evergreen for this series, the Kaleidoscope series. So again, giving interest year round. Not as big this year, but with as much snow cover as we have, but a lot of years we've had little snow cover. So the evergreen ground covers are nice to add features longer in the season for you. The Kaleidoscope series is also a little more cold hardy than the other Delospermas. So works a little further north for us. These colors, yeah, they mass in color too. So you get a nice mat of color when they're in bloom. Delphiniums. Here's a group of plants that's had a lot of breeding work lately. They're a standout in the garden. And they've had a little bit of trouble because a lot of the older varieties, especially as the blooms open, get a little wet, the flowers droop and crash. You like them to stand up. So here's a new variety that has a real strong stem, not quite as tall as some of the other varieties, but still works well, still gets up close to 3 feet. So it's a good backdrop plant for your perennial beds. And they really show off the colors in the summer. So these delphiniums are also very cold hardy. So violets or blue is a great addition for the delphiniums in your garden. Grasses. Grasses have been highly underused, becoming very strong in native plantings. And Deschampsia is one that is great for dry, shady areas. That's a tough conditions to really find a lot of plants that are good for that area. So Deschampsia, again, can act well as a mass planting or in small clumps in the gardens. And the seed heads are great for the birds. So don't cut them back early. Let the seeds produce and add to your garden with the birds later on in the season. Oops, a little quick there. Dianthus. If you want early blooming plants, here's a great line for you. The Everlast series are rebloomers too. So you can have blooms early and then blooms right through the summer. Almost continuous. Another issue we've been having here, especially in the Northeast, are deer. Dianthus are very deer resistant. So it's a great plant to have in your garden. And the Everlast White is really the first pure white that we've been able to find that's come along for Dianthus. A lot of them are either muted or have a blend of another color in them. So if you like pure white, Everlast White is the one to bring in. And if you like white, double. Here it is. Proven winner brings along whipped cream. These flowers speak for themselves. It's a nice big flower. It's going to provide a lot of color. Again, it's a rebloomer, so it's going to give you color longer in the season. Dianthus is that nice understory type plant in your beds. We need heights of all, you need plants with all heights, and this is a great low one for you. Well, glamour time. The name says it all. This one is bright, it's going to show up, and these flowers are large too. So it's going to give you a lot of color and a lot of, lasting color with the rebloom of the dianthus. Dicentra, white diamonds. This is a series that Proven Winners has now come up with. It's our second edition after pink diamonds, and you'll be seeing more coming soon. We have the third one coming up, possibly later this year, definitely next year. But again, Dicentra is a great native plant, good for shady areas. But the diamond series also handles a little more sun and a little more heat. So it has a little more use in your gardens. The fine textured leaf also adds a lot of interest. So white in a shady spot really shows up. So here's a great addition to the Dicentra line. Back into some more grasses. The Festuca Perfect Edging. Again, from Proven Winners. A lot of people like the blue Festucas. Nice compact round balls of blue. Here you get your variegation. You get a green and yellow variety. Add a little more interest into the garden, tight spot, or for massing. It's a great plant that's going to show up. You don't need flowers for everything, but again, with grasses, you will get a flower, a small flower, and seeds. And again, the seeds are great for the birds. Gaillardia. Another underused plant, daisy type flower, but Gaillardias are a little more double flower. So they have a lot of show to them. And they're real tolerant, real hardy, drought resistant. And the new line here, the low riders, are a little more compact, so they might fit more gardens a little easier. Also, reliable reblooming, almost nonstop. So it's color all season long throughout your garden. It's a great plant to have. Again, give you that early color in the garden center. It's a good one to have out there early, draw people in as we start getting warmer weather. And don't forget, first day of spring is only about 30 days away, so it's coming. Talk about early color. Hellebores are great first sign of spring. The Frost Kiss series, we've had a lot of luck with. They hold the flowers up high. Here's a new one that has two-tone flowers, pink with magenta. Again, hellebores, the other thing, are the epitome of deer resistance. I've had them in my gardens in Maine and here in Connecticut, and I've never had issues with them. They're great first sign of spring. Find a spot in the yard that's going to have the snow cover that leaves early, whether it's along a patio, walkway, or that sunny slope. And this will be the first sign of spring because as soon as it starts warming up, the flower heads will pop up and it brighten up the garden. And this one, if you're familiar with Anna's Red and Penny's Pink, it flowers after the Anna's Red, but before Penny's Pink. So it's a nice way to add color all season, all early season. And hellebores will hold their flowers. They fade, but the flower head holds up. So it adds color even when it's gone past its prime. Here's another great native plant, euchera. longiflora, though, is a little bit different than what you're used to. Um, Again, good for shady spots. A lot of people think of euchre just for the leaf, but they forget there's a nice little flower spike that comes up. Bees and butterflies really love these. So here's a green mottled leaf that adds a little bit of interest in the garden. You don't need all dark leaf ones. This one I add a little texture difference to you, and it brightens up those shady spots. Oh, summer hibiscus. What doesn't say summer like this? The size flowers really stand out. A lot of the hibiscus are very tall though, so they need a big spot. The Summerific series is a little more compact, and this seems to be one of the most compact that we've found, but still with 8-inch blooms. So it's a nice color selection of a soft pink with that dark eye. Really stands out. And you got to remember, don't give up on your hibiscus too early in the season. They really want to wait till that soil warms up before they start popping up. But they do pop up and they give a great summer color throughout your garden. Hyssop, another one that's a little bit underused, I feel. This is a great plant that you can use to get the colors like you do with Nepeta or lavender, but it seems to be a little more resistant, a little tougher. This one has long blooms. Nectar Ninja says it all. Pollinators love hyssop. So if you want to have a nice little attraction in your garden for the pollinators, here it is. It's a compact size, so it fits well many areas. It's fragrant. Again, put it near a porch, patio, or window you keep open in the early summer to add to your summer selection of fragrance in your house. Here's a new species that we brought in, Calamaris. This is Blue Star. Yep, looks like an aster. It is an aster. It's similar to the aster family, but it's a long blooming and it's a little more compact than a lot of our other native asters. So it'll be a nice blend with those. It give you a nice mat of color. Again, later blooming. Pollinators need food all season. So we got to have plenty of our plants that are blooming late in the season, get them ready for winter. So here's a nice addition to your garden for late, low color. I mentioned lavender earlier. It's another key plant for us here at Pride's. If you ever want to see, have a sight to see, come see the greenhouse full of lavender. I think we pot up around 90,000 or so every spring. Here's a new selection from Proven Winner, a little bit darker, but a great fragrance still, and it's a sturdy plant. I know people have a little bit of trouble with lavender in their gardens, having them last for a long time. This one seems to be a little stronger garden producer. Summer Serenade. It's going to give you that dark purple color, a little darker than a lot of other lavenders that are out there, with that strong lavender fragrance. Remember, gardens are for all your senses, not just sight. And now we go to the other end of the color spectrum. There's the white. I think this is the first white out there. It comes from the same line as Phenomenal or Sensation. So if you're familiar with those, this will have the same, garden stability as those. Again, heat tolerant. So it handles a lot of conditions in your gardens and gives you that bright white flower. Nice way to blend with your other lavenders, especially if you have a border. Daisies. What child doesn't want to cut daisies and bring them home to mom? So here's what you can add. The Leucanthemum Ula La Grande. Again, a compact plant, but large flowers. So this is from Bloomin' Easy. And again, it's a way to give that summer color, that summer calmness of a nice daisy plant in your garden. The tidy habit, loaded with blooms. It'll be a ball of white for you with those yellow hearts. Again, Leucanthemum are great pollinator attractors also. Give it plenty of sun and it'll provide for you. Monarda. You'd almost think I'm doing another native talk here with all the native plants we've been bringing up. But this is a different Monarda than what we've carried before. It's a great native selection. Bradburnia, it's an earlier bloomer. It's, again, Monarda sometimes, has issues with powdery mildew, but this one is more resistant. And if you want to see a pollinator attractor, butterflies will love this plant in your garden. So bring it in. It'll spread a little bit for you. So it covers more area. Just give it plenty of room, plenty of air, and it'll be good for you. Don't crowd it too much in the garden. Color doesn't come just from flowers. So if you need a bright spot when plants are out of bloom, Lemon Perfection. It's a nepeta that has all the strong forms of a nepeta, but with a unique yellow foliage. Again, maybe not something you want to mass plant here in the Northeast. Some people feel yellow plants may look a little sick, but this doesn't. This is going to give you more of a limey yellow look, and it'll work well with other colored plants, especially if you have a darker red leaf plant in the area. This creates great contrast with it. Nepeta, again, another great pollinator plant. This one's a little compact too, so it'll fit into tighter spots. And you can use it as edging along a walkway. So here's a good selection to add some variation into your garden. The Itos are back. We've worked with these in the past. We started bringing them back in a couple last year, and now we have more varieties for you. Talk about a statement plant in your garden. The Ito peonies, cross between the shrub peony and the perennial peony and the tree peony. The Itos give you color and stability. And this lineup is, will please everybody. They're strong, they stand up, they really make a statement in that summer bloom. And this is the new standard for peonies in the garden. Summer phlox. It's always a popular plant. They last a long time in the garden, flower for a long time, give you that summer color. Evening Glow gives a little bit different from Proven Winter. It's in the Luminary series, but it has a little bit of pink, a little bit of purple in it. So it'll blend with a lot of different plants in your garden. And the Luminary series has been shown to be a little more resistant to the powdery mildew. So again, easier to care for, more reliable, and it'll give you a good summer color, good pollinator plant also. So the Luminary series, look for all the colors we have, but the new one is Evening Glow. For those of you who follow pollinator plants, and Doug Tallamy, he talks about oaks as being a big pollinator attractor. I think the group of pycnanthiums are probably your next if you look at the wide selection of pollinators that it will attract. And again, here's one that not only is fragrance from the flower, but it's the leaf. If you have a stand of these and you walk through them, or if you rub your hands on them, you'll get that nice mint fragrance spreading through the garden. The Virginianum is a narrowed leaf, so again, adds a little more texture to your garden. Excuse me. Rudbeckia. Well, Goldstern is the standard, the big double flower, but Lancenata is better for the pollinators. It's going to really attract your butterflies to your garden. Again, summer bloom into fall. It's a nice size. It can get pretty tall, so it's a good backdrop plant. Will handle a little bit of shade also. And the seed heads are great for later in the season for other finches and things to come collect. So it's great for the birds as well as the butterflies. Salvia is another reliable, strong plant for your garden. Deer resistant again, so this is a big key to a lot of what we hear. Gardeners coming into your garden centers asking about how to keep the deer away, or what can I have that will survive the deer coming through my yard. Salvia is a good tough plant. Again, pollinators love it. Perpetual purple says it all about this plant. It's a nice deep color. It's going to really stand out in your garden. Full sun, will tolerate some dryness. So again, it'll give you weeks of bloom in that area. And salvia is also good for mass planting too. So it's going to, if you have a hillside that you a little tough to take care of, this is a good plant to get in there, stabilize the hill, give you lots of color, and show off for you. Getting into some more native grasses again. Cisacrium, it's a great native grass. It gives you a blend of colors throughout the season, and it changes as it goes. This will have a nice bluish fine texture to it early on, and then it'll give you some hues of purple and reddish as it gets later in the season. This is good for well-drained, sandy areas. The common name is coastal bluestem. So if you have that sandier, looser soil, this is a great one to help stabilize it. And it'll great for mass plantings. Well, forged by fire. Silene. Silene virginica is a native plant. It's native to the eastern and central parts of the U.S. Silene is called catchfly. And if you felt the leaves, you would know why. It has a sticky leaf, and the insects will actually stick to it if they stick around too long. But here's one that's, Silene, typically Virginiana is a taller plant. Again, a selection from Bloom and Easy that gives you a little more compact. It'll fit more garden space. And this will be a ball of fire when it's in bloom. Blooms for a long time. It works well in containers as well as in your garden. So this is a plant that you can definitely work with, on all scales. And it's great for butterflies and even hummingbirds. Hummingbirds love the red, but the deer will not eat this one either. So it's a great plant to have around. And again, good for heat and drought tolerance. So as I said, we're getting a lot more of that lately here in the Northeast. Spagelia. This has become one of my favorite plants over the past few years. Spagelia is native. It's a native ground cover type plant, good for shady or sunny areas. We did see these out at Walter's Gardens. They had masses in their trial garden, and it was just a sea of different shades of red. So the tubular flower is great for butterflies and hummingbirds again. Will handle shade or sun. Tough plant, great for massing underneath trees. I really love this plant. And these two varieties now that came out of Proven Winter, we had them last year. Little bit different shades of red, apple slices and orange slices. So you can blend them together. You can mass plant all one color. They work very well. Trollius. Here's one that gives you a little bit more unique flower shape, a little more of a ball flower type. And that yellow, it's a softer yellow, so it doesn't overpower you in the garden. This is great for along edge of woods or moist areas. So again, it's parts of your gardens that, may be a little challenging to find other selections, but here's a great plant. Lemon Queen is will it'll brighten up any part of your garden. So that's what we have for perennials and grasses. Now, as Allison mentioned, we got Evan Brands joining us. He's our head of our production. So he's going to help with any of these that we have going on. Now, I want to preface our roses. We're going to start out with some that, unfortunately, if you don't already have them on your order, you can't get them. We are sold out. But this is why you need to listen to your sales rep when they come around starting in August and September and give you a list of plants that says order early because we will sell out. So this is proof of what they say. So as we get into roses, as we know, one of the more popular brands over the past few years has been David Austin. And we are now the largest container grower of David Austin's in definitely the Northeast, if not all of America. So David Austin's, as you know, offer a great peony type flower. The breeding has been going on for many years now, from David down to his son. And they really go for that peony type flower, large petal count, and deer resistance, but also keeping a lot of fragrance. Again, I've mentioned it a number of times with the perennials, but fragrance is a key to bring back to the gardens to really help people enjoy their gardens. So Anne Boleyn has that nice pink peachy color. It's not quite the fullest, largest petal count of the David Austins, but it's one that really is going to help stand out. Pink has been a very popular color with these, and it's going to help fill out any garden choice. And most of your David Austins you'll see too are in about that 3 to 4 foot range.
And I think this one actually, if you go back to Anne Boleyn, is there's kind of a theme with this first few and that we're going to show you and talk about, and a fair number of them are sold out, but we want to really emphasize the uniqueness of the lineup here and why it's important for you guys to bring these in. A lot of these varieties are some of the older ones, and they are not available even for the retail section of David Austin's business. So these are items that if you do have on order, you should be happy that nobody else will have them. Something that's kind of neat about Anne Boleyn is actually a smaller, on the smaller side for David Austin roses. Some can get full size and be quite large. This will probably top out at 3.5 by 3.5. So more of a medium sized shrub compared to some of the other varieties. Also, this is quite an old variety. It was introduced in 1999. So it's been out there for a while.
Good. Thanks, Evan. Yeah, Evan's done a good job working with the David Austin Company to really help expand our line, get you the most that we can offer, most varieties, and just so you can have what your customer's looking for. Brother Cadfael, again, another one that's an older variety, strong fragrance. Again, the pinks have been very popular, and this one again has not quite as many petals as some of the others, but it does have that old rose fragrance that's, that everybody's looking for.
I would also say this is the oldest of the roses that we're going to be showing today. This is actually one, it was introduced in 1986. What makes it kind of exciting is that it's got a more of a peony style flower. There's a few of them like that. So a little unique in the rose category in and of itself. So David Austin has retired this, meaning there's very, very limited numbers out in the industry as a whole. They don't actually offer it on their website right now either. So again, if you have this, very rare, definitely a collector plant. So something that's makes it really important.
Reasons why you want to highlight them in your garden center. Changing colors a little bit, getting a little more, I don't know, purplish pink here, and a little bit fuller of is Charles Rene Macintosh. Not the apple, but it's still a Macintosh. But again, a nice change in your color palette, wide variety of plant you can offer. A little bit more of a lilac, fading to a pink, so the blend of color on the shrubs is nice also.
And again, this is another variety, very old, original David Austin variety. This is from the late 80s. So something that will be unique to your garden center for sure.
Emma Bridgewater. Again, very fragrant. As you can see in the pictures there, gives you a range of colors, starting pink, go to coral, and then even a little bit mauve at the end. So again, David Austin's also work well in containers. So this is one that, you can use in the garden or on the patio or on the deck.
And this variety actually is brand new to the USA. It was released in 2024 in England, but this is the first time you will see it available in the United States. So different from the theme of older varieties, but equally rare, very limited quantity for its first year, but a great plant.
And then, Ray, there's just a quick question that came in, and maybe you could talk to the disease resistance on some of these David Austin roses. What can people expect for that?
It is something that they've worked on the breeding with, having them, a little more resistant to black spot. Yeah, and I mean, you found here that, our treatments here have been minimal that we need.
Yeah, and I would definitely say there are some varieties that we're going to be displaying here or other ones that we carry that are newer releases, and that is probably one of the number one traits that they're looking for is finding newer genetics that require less care in the garden. Obviously, that's region specific, but definitely the black spot resistance is something you'll see in any of the varieties that are probably 2015 or to 2020 onward. That's almost a requirement for them to release a new variety.
Yes, some of the older varieties may have some susceptibility to it, but they're better than a lot of your old time teas and grandifloras still. Another one, we're still in the sold out group. So again, think about summer and fall of 26 for 27. Get your orders in early. But Mary Delaney, another one, a little bit more of an open flower, but this is also a climber. So this is one that you can add to a trellis, an arbor, light posts. So it's great. And the other thing about having on a light post, it might be near a walkway, it's almost thornless, so they don't bite back on you.
And this is definitely, as far as climbers go, this is a full-size climber. It will grow fairly aggressively. David Austin kind of has the whole array of climbing roses, and this will get probably 10 to 12 feet tall. So it will be full, but it's definitely going to fill that entire arbor if you plant it around.
And definitely give it something sturdy to climb on, because when these things get full grown, they really fill out well and they'll tear down a small trellis. Sophie's Rose. Here we get new color palette, a little bit deeper red, almost a carmine color, crimson color. As again, still that peony look, maybe not quite as many petals, but this color will really stand out in the garden for you.
And I would say that this is a color that there are not too many in the David Austin palette that have that sort of crimson color. So there's only a handful of introductions they have with that color. Definitely seems like it's the color that's more popular in the United States than where most of the breeding is done in Europe. But definitely a unique color and definitely a great plant that's not very common either, even amongst other growers of David Austin.
Next one, Ingenious Mr. Fairchild. They have fun naming their roses over in England. But again, another large in the pink family, a little more fuchsia color to it, peony type flower. Again, back to the shrub rose, a little bit smaller size on this one too, and more of a fruity fragrance. So you get that fuchsia look, a little bit of notes of raspberry and peach in it. So a little bit different addition for your garden.
And probably the uniqueness of the flower style and the flower color. There's really nothing else in the entire history of David Austin that quite compares to this one. Definitely has the most peony-like flower of the whole lineup that they offer, and the color is probably unique amongst all the varieties. So definitely a keeper.
So if you've liked David Austin's, what we've been showing you, and you still need to add some to your order, here you go. The next few we still have some availability on, but that will go quick. So be quick to the computer and get your orders in. But here's Dana U. Again, yellow. Yellow seems to be a popular color here also in the States. This one isn't a bright yellow, but it gives you different shades of color as the flower fades. And the fragrance, again, it's a standout with all David Austins of having that great fragrance that really got brought back into roses. You know, a lot of the breeding for teas and grandifloras was more for color and stem for the cut, but David Austins are more back to that, getting that nice fragrance. This one has more of a lemon apricot scent to go along with the yellow color. So a great addition to your garden.
And this is one we're really excited about. It was a 2023 release overseas. This is the first time we've been able to offer it in the United States wholesale. So it's brand new, should be brand new for all your customers as well. It's another reason to keep an eye out for it.
It's Scarborough Fair. Here we start getting into a little bit more of an open bloom, a little bit blend of colors again, more of that pink and white. But these flowers are definitely in clusters, so they may not be as big, but they still give you that show having that cluster of blooms there.
This is definitely a super prolific flowering shrub. You'll have tons of blooms on this, and it's definitely will put on quite a show when it reaches that peak color in the late spring. So definitely very showy.
And that little bit more open flower is also one that bees will like too, so they get right into that pollen. Here we go. Lark Ascending. Again, this apricot look, again, very popular, a little more unique. Well, I do want to point out too with this one is we were able to get it on own root. We prefer getting the roses on own root when we can. So here's one that will be good a little further north too. So if you get a little bit more dieback when you have winters that don't have as much snow cover as we've had this year, it will still come back to you. But also you'll see this one is again getting a little bit more into that bigger size, like Evan mentioned that many of the David Austins are into that 5, 6 foot range. So again, a standout in the garden that's really going to show off.
And definitely this seems like the hot color in the rose category right now. Apricot seems like it's the fastest growing and where we see a lot of new introductions. So not a new variety. It's about 15 years old, but definitely a hot color right now, and definitely a really excellent plant to add.
Wedgwood Rose. Again, this is what sort of epitomizes the color or the size and flower shape that they were looking for in David Austin's. This peony look, the great fragrance. You know, put this one near a window. I mean, it has a real fruity fragrance to it. Get that scent into the house.
Definitely comparing it to some of the other climbing type roses that the David Austin offers, this one probably will top out at about 2/3 of the size of some of their full size climbers. It will still get very, very big compared to a shrub rose over time, but very full. It's an excellent grower, so it won't be a couple of stringy canes. It should be a full size plant, probably 6 to 8 feet.
And with many David Austins, maybe not the climbers, but they're good for cut flowers too. So if you want to bring them inside to enjoy them a little longer, do that. So we're going to be leaving the David Austins, but unfortunately staying with the sold out part of our rows. Here's one that's probably going to get the most talk. The Martha Stewart rose. This is introduced by Star Roses and Plants. The story behind this rose is very interesting, though. Martha Stewart worked very closely with Star on selecting the rose that was going to carry her name. She's actually worked with them for a couple of years to get this. It is another full peony type flower, very fragrant. We had this one in our booth at Mance, and everybody was stopping to smell this rose. But Martha also did a great thing for independent garden centers because she insisted that as it was introduced, at least for the first 2 or 3 years, it's only available through independent garden centers. You'll also see this one has dark green foliage, so it really stands out in the garden.
I think this plant's just the total package. Great fragrance, really compact, high petal count flower, really nice clean foliage, dark foliage, and anybody that's seen it has been really impressed with it. And adding that it's retail only will just help that. I would say there's a ton of demand there and pent up demand. This is a plant that Star has sold out across the country, so it will be really coveted this spring.
Remember, don't go by what you might think of Martha. A lot of your customers think very highly, and she will be pushing this rose on every form of social media, TV channel, wherever. She's going to be pushing it hard. Okay. Next couple of them are additions to our tree roses, which we've mainly had as knockouts in the past, but we've tried to add a few more interests here. It's a Floribunda type, a candy cane, so it's going to give you that different shades of color on the plant. Smaller blooms, but in large clusters. So again, it's good for colder regions, but remember, with tree roses, especially in colder regions, you got to be careful if you're putting them out in the garden. They need a little more protection. It's better yet to have them in containers, have them on a deck or a patio, and be able to bring them into protection in the winter.
We really felt like our tree rose lineup could use some sprucing up, and this is an example in the shrub world where we've had a lot of success with this variety. It brings something to the table that the Knockout series doesn't have in that truly two-tone flower. So I think you guys will be really excited to take a look at these and get them in your garden centers.
And here's one that goes from, instead of the pink white, has more of that pink yellow peach blend to it. Again, as Evan said, the multicolors on these roses really seems to be what people go to. I've seen it as I've been working in garden centers. People are really attracted to this style rose. So Sunset Horizon is a great name for this one.
And where you saw the two-tone pink and white with the candy cane cocktail, this will give you the array of the yellow to orange to dark pink. So two different offerings that will have multicolored blooms at the same time on the plant.
And keeping with that theme of multicolor, but now into the shrub form, the Oh So Easy series from Proven Winners has been a very strong performer for us. Definitely, I've seen it very popular up in northern parts of New England. Um, Great shrub roses, loaded with blooms, smaller blooms, but they continually bloom. I've been telling people, don't sell these as roses, sell them as flowering shrubs. Put them in with your other shrubs, and because customers are always looking for something that's going to give them color all year. And Fuego, it really is on fire when it's in bloom.
And this is a great kind of in between size between a knockout series plant and a drift series plant, a little smaller than a full grown knockout, probably more in that 3.5 by 3.5 shrub. And anybody familiar with the Oh So Easy series, this is hands down the best color and presentation of any other variety in that series. So the newest, but it's also the best. We've been very impressed.
And the Reminiscence series has been more of a Proven Winner's way of going after that David Austin peony type English bloom. There's a few different ones out. Here's yellow. Again, yellow has been a popular color here in the States, so it's something that your customers are definitely looking for. Again, a good sized shrub in that 3 to 5 foot range, but dark foliage, real strong. And it's again, this is one that's on its own route, so we really, feel comfortable selling it throughout our whole range that we sell to.
And this is the fourth addition to the Reminiscent series. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's a series that Proven Winners has been developing over the last about 5 years. There's also the crema, pink, and coral, and this is the newest offering, a different color in that set. All very fragrant, all have really dark, clean foliage, really great production plants, really great plants in the landscape. They'll be full, they'll be compact but not dwarf, and just bloom all summer. So really excellent offerings. Definitely a program worth looking at if you haven't. All highly, highly fragrant.
As they say, if you're getting copied, it means you've been successful. So David Austin has been successful. And now this is Star Roses and Plants version of that English peony type flower, the Romantica series. And again, they've come up with a yellow. This is Moonlight, a little softer than the Reminiscent ones. But again, very fragrant and full flower, real showpiece in the garden.
And this variety is actually one that we've had since 2021 or 2020, but we really wanted to highlight it, especially if you're looking for more of that David Austin look. The color is excellent. It's extremely fragrant. The plant is clean. It grows well, but it doesn't grow out of control. So it's got the total package. Really nice plant. If you haven't given it a look, I think it's definitely worth trying.
And in that same series, the pink is the ball gown. So again, if you couldn't get some of those, if you weren't able to order some of those early David Austins we showed you, if you don't have them in your lineup, but you want that look, ball gown is a great one to add into it. The Romantica series, as Evan said, has been coming along pretty well in the past couple of years. So here's one to add in also.
And then just like the Moonlight, this is another color in what they're developing as a series. Even more higher petal count here. This plant's just great. It's got that pink that the majority of the David Austins have. It has the look that a lot of the David Austins have. And it's also a great garden plant in that you see no leaf spot issues. You don't see it growing out of control. It's pretty low maintenance. So definitely another one that's worth a look if you need to substitute for something you didn't get, or if you just want to add it to your lineup.
And the Romantica series is coming out of breeding from France. If you're familiar with roses, that's where and it's the same breeders that did the Maryland series. So that's where, they really want garden producers from those breeders. So here's the last of our introductions. Loves Me, Loves Me Not. It's another great rose that we have from Star, but it's in their Bloomable series. This is a series of roses, shrubs that Star is working on. Really high bloom power, reliable for your customers, sturdy plants. This one isn't quite as large as some of the Romantica series. The flower isn't that peony type, but it's a great, you know, full full size shrub that's going to give you a good performance in the garden. Again, strong resistance to diseases. That's a lot of the rose breeders have been working on that. Make them better plants for your homeowners, easier to care for. This one's not quite as hardy as some of the other ones, so not great for too far up north, but good for lower New England and south.
And actually, I don't even think the pictures do this one justice. This plant is really, really spectacular. Of all of the newer introductions that Star had done prior to Martha Stewart, I think this is the best. Very fragrant, really incredible, incredible plant with not a ton of maintenance in the landscape. It's very compact, but not dwarf. I think it checks a lot of boxes, and just overall a really great plant that should definitely merits a look in your garden centers.
Okay. Well, thanks, Evan. Thanks for your insights on these plants and background on them. This is the end of our plant part of it. Just want to highlight a couple of things before we head out. American Beauties is hosting a webinar with Dr. Talmy. It's coming up on the 26th. I know it's been very popular. I think there's still room for people to join, but you can listen in on that if you want to hear some more. He's been a great proponent of, native plants for native pollinators.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.